Thank you. We're going to see what we can do just to be able to work with the mediums that we have, just to share a small story. And just before we do, I really want to thank you for coming today to be present just to hear this, and that we're filming this, putting this out so that it's on YouTube, so people could be learning a little more about this. And then what's so amazing is that we're living in a time of open sourceness, and that's amazing. But then you have to be able to pick your way through the maze of what exists and live within this, rather than just sort of spectating it all. But if you're living in this, you know, you're really able to today, for everything that's done, there's a fingerprint that's left behind. And that's so amazing. Persons cannot do anything without a fingerprint left behind, pointing to where it is that's happening. But geologists can go back and we can read the past just by observing the landscape and seeing layers to know things that have occurred in the past. And certainly everybody knows that asteroid impact and things like that has occurred. And if we go back 4.5 billion years ago, we have a world where we're on a planet, and this planet is on the other side of Mars. It's between Mars and Jupiter. And that planet was called Tiamat, and it was a very big watery body, and it got hit by one of Nibiru's moons, as Nibiru is a large planet which is coming in on us at the moment. And Nibiru is about 92 distances from the Earth to the Moon away from us. So just to give you an idea, Pluto is about 42 times the distance we are from the Sun to Earth. So that distance, Nibiru is about 92 times that distance away, and it's coming in, and it takes only maybe a few years to do its passage, but that its major passage would occur for the people, and when it does, people are hypothesizing that this will be in February the 14th next year. But that when it passes by, it pulls the gravitational Earth over toward itself, and it rocks it back and forward, and we have 3 or 4 poles during this period of time. But when we go back 4.5 billion years ago, we go back to a time of the Moon, which is a asteroid or planetary system that, or a solar body that used to belong to Nibiru, and it collided, the Moon did collide with Tiamat back then, and tore Tiamat in half, and half of that is Earth as we know it today, and the Pacific is slowly closing over. It's more like a potato shape, but that deposits a lot of water, and then enormous amount of water in a bracelet which is between Mars and Jupiter, called the Kuiper belts. And but we could go back to a time, of course, of beginningness, and before this time, where water and all kinds of materials become in a plasma around the Earth, and this plasma seeds the Earth with new life through symbiosis and pleomorphism, which, for those people who want to learn more about this, they can go to the net and order a book about colloidal biology, which is a brand new insight into biology, where things are not just through mitotic cell division. Our cells don't arise through mitotic cell division. Most of the cells of our body did not arise through mitotic cell division, but that's another part of the story. But you should know that it arises through a process of aggregation, fusion and differentiation in colloidal biology. But if we go back into the late 70s and mid 80s, early, we go back to a time frame where quite a bit of information is present that's debunking biology that's being taught at the moment in the schools, which most people would say probably schools are in the images of professors sort of thing, and they're sort of bodies that are just sort of carrying around a head, you know, and they're sort of disembodied beings. But most of us don't think perhaps education might necessarily be that. But so we go back, and all of us could know that history's not necessarily been the history that we've been told. But so 2012 is a time simply where we come into our alignment, galactic alignment, which we may talk a little bit about during this program, but we have other programs that talk about this more. But 2012 is just simply a galactic alignment, but the Nibiru is a brown dwarf, and that is coming in, and that has heated up all the solar system. And things have occurred in the past, certainly, where we've had asteroid impact. The last one was 8,498 BC on the 5th of June at 8 p.m. when a rock about 8 kilometres long broke in half and two pieces plunged into the Atlantic plate, and that sunk Atlantis. But that's another story. But you could say that we've survived all these things, but that we've evolved over time. It takes eons of time, but we're travelling along with the sun, and we're travelling in a spiral around the sun, and sometimes the planets are together and they're not in the order that they are now, and it's like we're travelling into a black hole in space. At the end of it is electric arcs, and so we're going further and further in, and we're going down a spiral, and so the planets haven't always been where they are in the positions that they are, and certainly collisions have occurred in the past and things such as this. But we're going to be talking a little bit about tonight mostly the kinds of things that human beings are doing, and chemtrails and things such as this. But we could really say that pretty much the schools are becoming more McDonaldized, and this corporation has crept its way all over the earth, and all the countries are one corporation, and there is one hand, and that one hand is playing people off against each other below it. But it's one hand that's creating this, and we have on the Georgian stones, these stones show what the rules are meant to be. There's only meant to be 500 million people left on the earth, and everybody else more or less has to be exterminated. And plastic is becoming infused into human beings, and plastic has become recently more fused into biology, and there's a plan to cause a transhuman who is patented, and the patents already have been put into nanoparticle. So when you pass through some of these screens right now, a number shows up for them and a barcode that's being emitted by you. You have fluorescent micro nanodots, signatures inside, some saying NASA and other people of this corporation, which is one corporation, not two or three or four, which all the people that you elect are officers of this corporation. The corporation remains the same, but the officers come and go, but the corporation remains. And that everybody is living at the moment inside a corporation, and that one corporation is one hand, and that hand throughout the years since the mid-1700s onward has played people off against each other. And it's just one hand that exterminated 20 million Russians, but that sort of had a lot of political backlash, whereas this doesn't, because it's an easy way just to poison the people. But Japan is equivalent to 100 million atom bombs that have gone off as far as radioactivity is concerned, which we can talk a little bit about during our program tonight. But basically, most everybody really is fed up, but we can have a moratorium where we take back the control of owning the money, and it's just the most path of least resistance to use the law, to change the law. And it means just a breathing space, but we need a breathing space. We need to stop the chemtrails straight away, and we need quickly to ask everybody, would you love reform in banking? That's all. Simple question, would you love reform in banking? Tick the box, yes, if you do. That's all. That's it. Simple as that. Nothing else would change, but a lot of things will change. But at the moment, we have people who have just pushed the button on an experiment, and perhaps tonight we're going to be talking a bit about this. Okay. But everybody knows certainly that what's occurred doesn't seem to be very natural. People are living with microwave energy, and we're living with structures which can easily be listened into in any frame, in any room, and also used as a transceiver today for VHF and ELF wave. And certainly it's possible to go around anybody's home and see with the instruments where all this dirty electricity and everything is. But this dirty electricity and this, which we could imagine doesn't seem to be right, and a corporation owns this, and that corporation does a training called common purpose, and you have to be able to break the law and do things illegal to belong to them, because no person who is serving as a public servant should be meeting with anyone in private. That's against the law. But you have to do all sorts of things to break the law to belong to this training program, and it's about depopulation, and it's about taking rights away of people, and it's about ownership of the money supply ultimately, and continued control and policies being handed down through this corporation. Okay. But we have something that's far worse than this, but we can go to the next screen. We have plastic being put in the air, which we're going to be talking about, which is chemtrails, and we have barium, we have all these heavy metals, aluminum hydroxides and titanium dioxide mixed with fibres of plastic and razor blades atomized, and all kinds of biologics and mites and insects and shellfish DNA and blood of animals and humans and mites that come out of your skin and things, which is Morgellons disease, and that's being put in a plasma and being sprayed at the moment as part of this, and then the clouds are being sprayed to have a reflection, an electromagnetic reflection field to be able to, for HAR, which is high aural radial pulses, which are being put into the upper ionosphere, and that can create neutron-like explosions in the atmosphere that create mushroom-like clouds, but that can also be applied to cause tectonic weaponry to release natural sort of energy out of the ground. Unnatural energy could be used to do this, which a signature has been left behind all the most politically changing earthquakes and things that have occurred. Okay. Basically, the DNA is to be reduced of this hybrid race, which has become owned and patented, and these genes being put and being found in everyone, your genes are becoming patented and owned. And at the moment, your soul is owned because your parents didn't know that they needed to say that you were living, and a policy was taken out on your birth certificate, and a sister K account was formed, and in that sister K account was left to be abandoned as a vessel on an ocean, and after 18 days it was not claimed by you, so it was claimed by them, and ever since then you've been in uppercase, and this was the way they claimed you. But it's basically that you're looked upon as being property of the bank and being traded with the bank. All court cases, all civic fines are all traded as commercial enterprise and traded as derivatives on the stock market, which makes money for the corporation. But basically, the button has been pushed for people and humans to be owned, and a group of people have got a little bit upset about this, and because when SARS was created, some people got very upset, but then also these tectonic weapons were used on these people, and money was taken from them too, so they got really a bit upset. And so, but this is planned by the hand above. This is part of the theatre of operation we're talking about underneath it. But it's a planned hand which is playing people off against each other at the moment. Okay. But the trick is to want to McDonaldise the earth. We have to take away children from their parents and create environments where kids are other than able to be with their parents. We did what we could to cause her to be the only parent that would be in a home, and then we asked her to work as well, and we've taxed her. So this hand has taxed her, and it's a McDonaldising of education right across the earth. Just the same flavour, the same fragrance, the same colours, everything the same, and it's a loss of creativity, enormous deep loss of creativity that's happening all over the earth, which the education system really sucks. It's not so good, and sex education sucks. The education about the environment, the education for health, all these, everybody knows it really sucks really big time, but it's just a sheepalising of the people of the earth. Okay. Everybody's being put to be at a certain age together, so they will have no more older people around them. And this is the best way to isolate and try to sheepalise, and then we're putting people in uniforms, but we have to get them early, and we have to separate them, men and women, from each other. We have to be able to indoctrinate them with a slave servant monkey, so that programming can come to be to have an armed prostitute that would commit legalised sin, basically. Okay. So these people won't know. They have to be kept from being with any older or younger ones, and that's a way to be able to sheepalise the most. And this creates Stockholm syndrome, where the people will be loving their masters and loving their abuser, basically. And it's yes master, no master, and this is what creates Stockholm syndrome. So this type of conditioning has to occur, and in the countries that it's occurred the most, people have become the most sheepalised and allowing of their system to be used, whilst the rest of the earth is being completely destroyed. Okay, let's go. By an early age, he's become aware that he has to be a success object, and she's become aware that she has to be a genetic celebrity. So we can do what we can to split them, and so materialistic things, he has to actually do things to get that, and if he doesn't have it, but this will be love-less work for him, and love's work for her, and so, you know, all this is going on, but you're going to learn more about this. You'll learn more about gender egalitarianism and what is being applied on the populace to be able to split people up. But Sweden happens to be the place where most of all the bombs are being made, and second country per populace in the world for bomb production, and that is the place where most all of this has occurred quite radically, this training. But the training of the corporation is to be able to make sure we just have single people, and people will not be able to get along with each other. So that's happened in Sweden, which they are such a very beautiful people, and people around the earth to me are my babies, and I feel everywhere we're as a people as one family, and all the idea of other than this is nonsense. But where sufferedness is, I care very much about the Japanese people as my own babies and my own infant and caring children, and also across wherever you are on the earth, everyone is my baby as a child. But we're doing things to sheepalize, to brainwash, and to cause stress to be in the saliva of these children, and so they don't know what's really going on, and controlling of the information is an octopus hand that's through this one corporation. Okay. This one hand owns this, and they can't change, you see, from this because they own it. And that's the reason why clean energy doesn't exist for us, which clean energy can be perfectly existing, that it's allowed. We could have an energy in our homes which actually supports life, but because this is owned, but smokestacks and everything being burned at the moment that's being nanoparticalized that you can't see is what we're going to be talking a little bit about tonight, and the owning of that and the controlling of this to wipe out, as the Georgian stones say, they should only have 500, Georgian guide stones, 500 million people on the earth, everybody else has to perish, and they've pushed the button on that already. In the late 90s they began spraying the airs, and Morgellons disease is fully underway, and fish and birds and all sorts of things are floating up and being killed by various a war that you're not being told about that's being fought at the moment. Okay. But everybody can clearly see stuff, but you can see when you look up to the sky also thin vapour trails, which is also being burned and part of all this. And we're going to go to have a look at a few skies. The Earth is not warming up because of greenhouse gases. The Earth has warmed up 0.7 of a degree. Uranus has warmed up 150%. Pluto has warmed up 300%. And the planets further in, the cooler things have warmed up. Our whole solar system is warmed up. We're moving through space. The Earth is moving through space. Planets around it have not always been in the same order they are now. It takes some time for them to slowly be changed. But sometimes we've been really huddled together, all the planets together and this sort of thing, and closer, and not in the same orbit that they are now. But our whole solar system is warmed up, and the space between the Earth and Venus has been pushed. And so we've warmed up a little bit, but the planets are not even in the same order. The Moon and the Earth are rocking at the moment, and space is not really uniform. But chemtrails have come to be spread over the whole of the Earth, which we're going to be talking a bit about, and the ionosphere can be heated and lifted, and then the stratosphere comes rushing in, and wherever that is on a point on the Earth, energy can be released out of a fault line, and signature over these spots have been captured. Anybody who does anything to the Earth at the moment, all of it's being logged, and the information as to who did it is being logged. It's leaving a dirty fingerprint. All the bombs that have been left behind have left dirty fingerprints behind, and a trail of money is left behind also, which is very easy to trace. So that's something which is open sourced, so easy today, so people cannot really do anything, you know. You can't go in subways or anywhere without your picture being taken, and you cannot do any of these activities like the controlling of the weather and the use of HAARP without evidence being left behind, nor can a bomb or plastics or nanomaterials be put into clouds that have become put in humans. All this can be traced directly to who's doing this, basically, which is a hand above the government. But let's go. Our air has become full of plastics and plasma and aluminum and to create a transhuman. And a human being which can walk through any of these lights, and a barcode will show up through your whole body, and fluorescent material is starting to become, as part of Morgellons disease, cells which are fluorescing and also can be under black lights lit, and barcodes and transmitters and very nanobotic element is being put into the plasma. Okay. But we should say stop to these right now, straight away. But isn't it interesting that the corporation you're living in can't? Because it's a phantom. It's not a living being. It's a fictional entity. And the only way that you've been able to be joined to that is by saying that you're dead. And your name has appeared in uppercase in anything sent to you, which is wrong. It's not your name. This is not you, the living being, the living spirit. But we can change everything around with a moratorium simply. That's the path of least resistance. You just tick the box, you want reform in banking. That's all. Simple. And this is coming from nobody. And everybody has to learn to be nobody again. And stop trying to be somebody. Stop eating all the packet stuff. Because the 4 large food groups on the earth are one. And that one hand has put their signature into every food they have. Stop eating packaged food. Move more toward life food straight away. Okay. This is HARP. This is HARP. And HARP is all around the earth at the moment. There's HARP in Norway here, where we're filming this. There's HARP where I've been in Morocco. And HARP is being put everywhere. But this is used to transmit information, ELF waves, which can communicate to biology, communicate to us. And it's all part of a club which is doing that. Those people are doing that, you see. And that's a funny thing that's owned by this hand. So they think that's funny. So they make that hand, and people have to put words like Rain Man into their crap. But you have to see how much crazy, stupid control that's existed. But it only can have existed because we as a people have allowed that drunk monkey stung by a scorpion stuff. Where trees have meowing and cats are growing leaves and butterflies are being taught how to swim, and all of that is this crazy stuff which is people trying to iron a shirt with a fish. But it's all open source and everybody can see who was influenced by those people. But it's the same hand that owns this, and it's the same hand that's spraying the air at the moment, and it's changed the skies. Okay. Our persons today, where we've been, living in Oslo, have got quite a library of pictures they've personally taken. And mushroom clouds are appearing. Neutrons can wipe out all soft tissue but leave the heavy furniture and everything behind. and lots of experiments have been done, and neutron bombs have been done. If people reject the European Union, like the Polish politicians all on that one plane, that was a mass assassination. Those people were vaporised, their luggage and everything. Okay. But owning all the seeds and patenting human beings and changing their DNA and deciding to be able to change the DNA and put plastic bits in there, which has been done to cause a hybrid human with lesser DNA that could be controlled, because fewer are needed just to run things a bit, basically. Okay. But underground bases have kept these people protected, apparently, which haven't, because they've recently been bombed. But all the experiments that they've been doing, as there's been a war that's been going on with these high energy weapons, where you could go from here to Iraq and be there in about 36 minutes or less. You can go in something which does Mach 12, which they used anti-gravity devices to bring the trade centres down, and then they were nuclear demolished by bombs that were put underneath the buildings. And there's 3 stories always. There's the first story which goes out to the populace, which is not the story. Everybody knows that, that's on the inside. So there's a second story to satisfy them. And then there's a third story which we've been sharing with everybody. If you stay tuned more to some of the PDF files and things that we've done and information that we have, we are sharing with everybody who the hand is actually. But this is causing factions underneath to play off against each other, and various incidences occurring around the earth where high energy weapons are being used, and birds and fish are just washing up by the thousands. Okay, thousands and thousands. But this is a plasma which is being put up into the sky, and now they're doing it mostly at night because they don't want you to see it, that it's happening, because people have become alarmed more, you know, so it's better that it's being done at night. And so all this stuff is being electrified, and all kinds of organisms and new life, and of course a permanently erasing of life as we know it today is occurring. Okay. Enormously, extremely strange cloud formations have been shown all over the earth, showing evidence of HAARP usage, and certainly fingerprints have been left behind, because there's images that are being taken at the moment which we've stored, and that shows wherever HAARP is being used, fingerprints have been left behind, which are just like looking down at the earth and seeing that human beings used to be there, because something is symmetrical in the pattern. So I wish we had time to show some of those things, but we just put this together for you. We're only here for this short time to actually put this show together, and so this is going up onto YouTube. Okay. But Morgellons disease is plastic fibre inside biology, and these fibres growing. So from this space here, these fibres growing out of this space. This is growing out of wounds and growing inside people. Okay. Organisms and parasites are being found enormously in the blood of people, and people are starting to have skin which is itching and is scratched open, and all sorts of conditions and things, and neon colouring and that sort of thing in the tissue. Okay. But you can research this. Organisms are being created, new organisms pleomorphically are arising, which is incorporating plastic and various other parts of DNA to evolve new organisms and things, and which is radically being incurred at the moment to seed the earth with new species of organisms, which most all these organisms in the nano particleizing of them, you can find barcodes put. Okay. I wish I could have shown and had more time to show more stuff to you, but you can easily look for. But nanobots are very, very small machinery that a cut is being made, and this coming out of the fingertip. Let's have a look.
I think it's the last one. If there's something you're missing, I can find it.
Oh, there's nanobots.
Okay, I found it.
The nanobots are very small machinery and things which are being built on an extremely microscopic scale out of nanoparticles. And a lot of these cows that were taken and their blood sucked from them, and all sorts of experiments where blood is being consumed and drawn, is being made to mix these batches up, which are being sprayed at the moment out of planes and out of NATO planes and things. And there was a time when they all had to go in for servicing, which it stopped and then it's resumed. There's lots of things that have occurred to pinpoint who's behind the spraying. But that you and I never gave any permission. We've never given our permission for these things to occur to us, and that's wrong. So we need to change that straight away by having a moratorium and by the people taking back the ability to own the growth of the money supply again. So anyway, when we come back, we're going to be talking a little bit more about this. This is Dr. David Jubb. This is the universe inside our mind. Stay tuned for some more exciting shows coming up.